You're listening to the CyberWire Network, powered by N2K.
And now a word from our sponsor, SpyCloud. Identity is the new battleground, and attackers are exploiting stolen identities to infiltrate your organization. Traditional defenses can't keep up. SpyCloud's holistic identity threat protection helps security teams uncover and automatically remediate hidden exposures across your users, from breaches, malware, and phishing to neutralize identity-based threats like account takeover, fraud, and ransomware. Don't let invisible threats compromise your business. Get your free corporate darknet exposure report at spycloud.com/cyberwire and see what attackers already know. That's spycloud.com/cyberwire. Verizon and Mandiant call for layered defenses against evolving threats. Cisco Talos describes ToyMaker and Cactus threat actors. Researchers discover a major Linux security flaw which allows rootkits to bypass traditional detection methods. Ransomware groups are experimenting with new business models. Deputy Assistant Director Cynthia Kaiser from the FBI Cyber Division shares the latest on Salt Typhoon. And global censorship takes a coffee break. It's Thursday, April 24th, 2024. I'm Dave Bittner, and this is your CyberWire Intel Briefing. Thanks for joining us again here today. It's great to have you with us. Two of the cybersecurity industry's most anticipated annual reports, the Verizon 2025 Data Breach Investigations Report, the DBIR, and Mandiant's M-Trends 2025 report, offer a revealing look at the evolving threat landscape. Drawing on tens of thousands of real-world incidents, both reports provide critical insights into how threat actors operate, what vulnerabilities they exploit, and which sectors are most at risk. Together, they highlight rising trends in credential theft, ransomware, supply chain attacks, and the persistent human element in security breaches. The 2025 Verizon Data Breach Investigations Report reveals critical shifts in the cybersecurity landscape, drawing insights from over 22,000 incidents and over 12,000 confirmed breaches. Credential abuse and vulnerability exploitation remain the top attack vectors, with the latter jumping 34%, driven by a surge in zero-day exploits targeting VPNs and edge accounts. Ransomware continues its relentless rise, now appearing in 44% of breaches despite a dip in ransom payouts. Alarmingly, breaches involving third-party vendors have doubled to 30%, underscoring growing supply chain vulnerabilities. Human error and manipulation, especially through social engineering, remain a major factor in successful attacks. Espionage-driven breaches are also on the rise, particularly in manufacturing and healthcare, suggesting a shift in threat actor priorities. To counter these evolving threats, Verizon recommends a layered security strategy, enforcing strong password policies, timely vulnerability patching, robust employee training, and tighter controls over third-party access. The report makes it clear cyber risks are expanding and proactive defense is no longer optional. The Mandiant M-Trends 2025 report paints a clear picture of an evolving cyber threat landscape marked by a rise in financially motivated attacks, now making up 55% of all observed threat activity. Exploits remain the leading entry point for attackers, but the use of stolen credentials has reached an all-time high at 16%, highlighting a growing vulnerability. The financial sector emerged as the most targeted industry, involved in over 17% of all cases studied. Meanwhile, attackers are lingering longer within networks, with the median dwell time increasing to 11 days, a sign that detection capabilities may be lagging behind the sophistication of modern threats. New and evolving risks include the growing presence of infostealer malware, insecure cloud data repositories, insider threats from foreign IT operatives, and a surge in attacks on cryptocurrency and Web3 platforms. In response, Mandiant stresses the need for multi-layered defense strategies, emphasizing better logging, proactive threat hunting, strong identity and access controls, and adoption of FIDO2 compliant multi-factor authentication to help organizations stay a step ahead. In 2023, Cisco Talos uncovered a sophisticated attack on critical infrastructure involving two threat actors, ToyMaker and Cactus. ToyMaker, a financially motivated initial access broker, breached the organization by exploiting internet-facing vulnerabilities and deployed a custom backdoor, LagToy. This tool enabled remote command execution and credential theft. After initial reconnaissance and credential harvesting, ToyMaker handed off access to Cactus, a ransomware group known for double extortion. Cactus launched a full-scale attack using various remote tools, creating malicious accounts, and eventually deploying ransomware. Their tactics included extensive data exfiltration and defense evasion, such as safe mode reboots and credential hiding. The incident highlights the operational handoff between access brokers and ransomware actors and underscores the need for organizations to recognize and model interconnected threats for better defense. Researchers at Armo discovered a major Linux security flaw involving the IO-U-ring interface, which allows rootkits to bypass traditional detection methods that rely on monitoring system calls. To demonstrate this, they created a stealthy rootkit called Curing that uses IO-U-ring to execute commands without triggering alerts. Most security tools, including Falco and Tetragon in default settings, failed to detect it. Armo recommends kernel runtime security instrumentation for monitoring such threats, and Curing is now publicly available for testing on GitHub. Ransomware groups like Dragon Force and Anubis are experimenting with new business models to attract affiliates and boost profits, according to SecureWorks. Dragon Force, which began as a traditional ransomware as a service operation, has rebranded as a cartel, offering hackers shared infrastructure and management tools while allowing them to use their own malware. This flexible model may broaden its affiliate base, though shared resources introduce operational risks. Meanwhile, Anubis offers multiple monetization options, ransom, extortion, and access sales, sharing 50 to 80% of profits with affiliates. It also increases pressure on victims through public shaming and threats to report breaches to regulators. These evolving strategies reflect a shift towards decentralization in the ransomware ecosystem, especially following disruptions to major players like Lockbit. While ransomware attacks continue, experts note early signs that profit-cutting efforts may be impacting the threat landscape. Coming up after the break, Deputy Assistant Cynthia Kaiser from the FBI Cyber Division is back with the latest on Salt Typhoon. And global censorship takes a coffee break. Stay with us. What's the common denominator in security incidents? Escalations and lateral movement. When a privileged account is compromised, attackers can seize control of critical assets. With bad directory hygiene and years of technical debt, identity attack paths are easy targets for threat actors to exploit, but hard for defenders to detect. This poses risk in Active Directory, Entra ID, and hybrid configurations. Identity leaders are reducing such risks with attack path management. You can learn how attack path management is connecting identity and security teams while reducing risk with Bloodhound Enterprise, powered by SpecterOps. Head to specterops.io today to learn more. Spectre Ops. See your attack paths the way adversaries do. Do you know the status of your compliance controls right now? Like, right now. We know that real-time visibility is critical for security, but when it comes to our GRC programs, we rely on point-in-time checks. But get this. More than 8,000 companies like Atlassian and Quora have continuous visibility into their controls with Vanta. Here's the gist. Vanta brings automation to evidence collection across 30 frameworks, like SOC 2 and ISO 27001. They also centralize key workflows like policies, access reviews, and reporting, and helps you get security questionnaires done 5 times faster with AI. Now that's a new way to GRC. Get $1,000 off Vanta when you go to vanta.com/cyber. That's vanta.com/cyber for $1,000 off. It is my pleasure to welcome back to the show Deputy Assistant Director Cynthia Kaiser from the FBI Cyber Division. DAD Kaiser, welcome back.
Thank you for having me back.
You and your colleagues have recently published a new PSA, and this is covering Salt Typhoon. What would you like folks to know about that?
So as I'm sure most listeners have been tracking, the FBI has been conducting a major investigation into the hacking of commercial telecommunications infrastructure by actors affiliated with the Chinese government, tracked in open source reporting as Salt Typhoon. And really, it's revealed a broad and significant cyber espionage campaign. And to be more specific, we've identified that the Chinese actors broke into the networks of multiple telecom companies and with several aims in mind to steal customer call records data, to compromise the private communications of a limited number of individuals, and to copy certain sensitive information related to law enforcement. And I think that what I want to make sure people are walking away and thinking about is it's indicative of this activity. It's indicative of what we've come to see from China, but it's also a new level of insidiousness and a striking example of how cyber espionage looks and feels different than it has before. And when I say that, I mean, what's remarkable is this kind of enormous and seemingly indiscriminate collection of called records and data about American people. And like, that's your friends, that's fellow citizens, that's our family members. And to me as a mom, when I think about family members' data being stolen, I'm thinking about my kids. China has the data they steal forever. And so if they're collecting these vast swaths of data and a 13-year-old's data is included, China has that child's information ever. And can you imagine a world in which China would have been spying on you as a 13-year-old? Like, it feels preposterous, right? But it's what our kids have to deal with now in this modern day age. And that's going to stay with them no matter what careers or risks they choose in the future. And so, as we've been diving deep into this investigation, we have that in mind. We have in mind the impact to the folks in Washington who are having their communications targeted. We also have in mind, though, the victims that don't even kind of understand that they're victims yet. And that's what's most concerning about this just broad campaign.
What are some of the specific perils here? I mean, a nation state collecting this sort of detailed information on U.S. citizens, what's the potential future issue with that?
China has been collecting for years lots of different types of information, personal identifying information, other types of content. And we know that they pull all of that back and they bring it into this vast data lake. And lake seems like a weird word for how much data they have. I mean, maybe it's a vast data ocean at this point of the type of information they're collecting. And what they can do now versus in the future is also very different. Now, They are able to, go through that data and try to match it with various intelligence objectives they might have. But in the future, think about how all of that data can fuel their AI efforts. So using that data and training it to identify patterns over time for their own intelligence objectives, but then also just using that data to fuel their own models. It's really concerning from our end that the sum of all of this data that's collected could be really dangerous just even a few years in the future.
I think some folks, justifiably have maybe a sense of helplessness when it comes to this sort of thing. Their data was collected. They were unaware that it happened. Are there reassurances that you can provide from a federal law enforcement agency that you all are on the case to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't happen again?
Absolutely. So, I think there's a few aspects here on this, which is FBI isn't just relying on net defenders to keep malicious actors out. Over the past year, we've been heavily involved in investigating, attributing, and countering this type of activity. In fact, a little over a year ago, we announced a huge disruption of a botnet used by Salt Typhoon. So for your listeners, a botnet's a network of hundreds or thousands of compromised devices, often used to hide or power malicious activity. And in this case, the Salt Typhoon botnet was made up of hundreds of U.S. home and small business routers. And so, we're able to take our investigations and really identify ways to take adversaries offline. And as for the FBI's efforts in this case, since we discovered the compromise, our response has been nonstop. We, of course, immediately notified the affected companies and remained engaged with them, providing our technical assistance wherever we can. We've collaborated with partners across the government and intelligence community, and we've rapidly shared what we've learned with other potential victims. And then every day, we're bringing in new evidence, which we turn around and add to our larger threat picture and give indicators of compromise identified to victims directly to assist them in their remediation efforts, as well as put them out for net defenders so that they can protect their networks from these insidious incidents. For example, we put out a guide in December with our government partners, and within there, we were able to provide best practices to strengthen visibility and harden network devices against successful exploitation carried out by China-affiliated and other malicious cyber actors. But we're not done, and we don't know everything. And that's why I'm really glad we're talking today, because FBI has issued an announcement to request information from the public about these China-affiliated actors that most people know of as Salt Typhoon and their compromise of multiple telecom companies. In particular, we're seeking information about the individuals who compromised these companies or who might make up this Salt Typhoon group, as well as anyone who has knowledge of other Salt Typhoon activity. And that is great for you to provide as a patriot or as a global citizen. But I also want to note that Department of Justice or Department of State's Rewards for Justice program offers a reward of up to $10 million for information on foreign government-linked individuals participating in certain malicious cyber activities against U.S. critical infrastructure. So if you have any of that information, we'd love for you to contact your local FBI field office, go to ic3.gov, or submit tips to the Rewards for Justice program, and that information is listed in our public service announcement.
Cynthia Kaiser is Deputy Assistant Director with the FBI's Cyber Division. DAD Kaiser, thanks so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Bad actors don't break in, they log in. Attackers use stolen credentials in nearly 9 out of 10 data breaches, and once inside, they're after one thing: your data. Varonis's AI-powered data security platform secures your data at scale. Across LaaS, SaaS, and hybrid cloud environments, join thousands of organizations who trust Varonis to keep their data safe. Get a free data risk assessment at varonis.com. And finally, 2025 opened with a noteworthy global phenomenon: governments pressing pause on internet shutdowns. According to Cloudflare's Q1 report, not a single new government-mandated internet blackout was recorded. These digital blackouts, often tied to elections, protests, or even school exams, have long been a tool for control. But the sudden lull has analysts scratching their heads. Cloudflare suggests fewer protests and national exams may be a factor, while NetBlocks' Alp Toker points to deeper shifts, like the shuttering of U.S. aid programs and increased compliance from social media platforms with government censorship requests. With fewer objectionable voices online, regimes have less reason to pull the plug. Still, Mother Nature didn't get the memo. Fires, storms, and earthquakes knocked out networks from New Jersey to Myanmar. While the pause in shutdowns is welcome, experts warn it may be short-lived. And that's the CyberWire. For links to all of today's stories, check out our daily briefing at thecyberwire.com. We'd love to know what you think of this podcast. Your feedback ensures we deliver the insights that keep you a step ahead in the rapidly changing world of cybersecurity. If you like our show, please share a rating and review in your favorite podcast app. Please also fill out the survey in the show notes or send an email to cyberwire@n2k.com. N2K's senior producer is Alice Carruth. Our CyberWire producer is Liz Stokes. We're mixed by Trey Hester with original music and sound design by Elliot Peltzman. Our executive producer is Jennifer Iben. Peter Kilpie is our publisher, and I'm Dave Bittner. Thanks for listening. We'll see you back here tomorrow. And now, a message from Black Cloak. Did you know the easiest way for cyber criminals to bypass your company's defenses is by targeting your executives and their families at home? Black Cloak's award-winning digital executive protection platform secures their personal devices, home networks, and connected lives. Because when executives are compromised at home, your company is at risk. In fact, over 1/3 of new members discover they've already been breached. Protect your executives and their families 24/7, 365 with Black Cloak. Learn more at blackcloak.io.